Hello everyone, Snipe Trading here. Today is Monday, May 3rd, and I'll be going over my recap for today. So unfortunately, today is a red day recap, and I'm down a total of 530 between my two brokers, 649 loss from my Trade Zero account, and 119 profit on my Thinkorswim. So today was a little bit difficult because there's a few tickers that were a little bit overextended, and I had a very strong short bias when an extension is seen. So I definitely had to kind of be a little bit more careful and size down when I know I'm wrong. So let's go over my trades here, starting from the top. So my biggest win of the day was on FAMI. This was also a runner on Friday and Thursday, and today it had a few opportunity. I took a few losses before I made some profits on this, but one position was at this area when you can see support became or resistance became support and had a nice flag. And then you can see it had a little wick there on that breakout with light volume. I went ahead and took that long position there, and then I immediately stopped that when it hit the prior low here. It ended up trailing down a bit before consolidating a little longer. So I took a stop here for, I think, roughly a $50 loss or so. And then later in the day, there was another opportunity where you can see went in a little early here when I was trying to look for a once VWAP was holding here around here. I went ahead and took some long position here, expecting a break of this and then a break of the next flag area. I ended up not going, so I took another loss there. So that brought me down to a total like a $100 loss or so. And then I took another $100 loss when this flag here broke. So you draw this flag line, you can see it's another fail flag. Size in a little bit here on this fail flag, and then when it held 5-minute 90 EMA, I went ahead and put my stop below that prior low and went ahead and add on the next break. It didn't go much, and I had to stop out for another $100 loss. So I was down 200 here on FAMI. And then I had another one where I took another long trade right here. So I had around like 60,000 shares or so with a 53 average, and it sold into the 54, 55s here. So I pretty much made all this back, and this was probably a $800 or $600 trade from here. So I made back the 200 losses over here and made a positive 458 extra on this. So that was a good trade to kind of top away my losses for the morning. But that was a $458 win on FAMA or FAMI. Next trade was CYH. So this trade I kind of mistimed it a little bit, but I went ahead and took it off right before this move down here, but it was a nice little kind of inverted cup and handle trend line break short. So I was shorting here, risking off the prior highs, and the target would have been the 5-minute chart. I ended up taking it off like right up here, and then like just a second, literally a second later, it washed down like 10 cents. So tough luck there, but I think I saw something on the bid that kind of scared me off, but it would have been a nice little win here, but it was a smaller win, $25 after that stop. So that was a $25 win. Next trade was PRPO. So I traded this a few times. It was a $30 loss, but here I think it was extended on the 1 minute chart, and I was expecting a 5 minute retest. You can see the little wick here, what I call a short trap. So I shorted that break of the 272s or so. It went down like 3 cents and then went back up and recover. So normally when you see a wick like that, it's really a short trap, and if it consolidates above that breakdown level or cup line, so I was interested in this because of the inverted cup and handle there. So it broke down, recover, consolidated, and broke above. So I had to downsize when I saw that wick, and then I stopped out right above these highs. And that was for I think it was for a $80 loss or so. And then I went ahead and took it again when I saw this trend line break. So you can see it broke down the flag line, and I think only got filled 500 shares or so on this short. And then I covered right below on the 5-minute 90 MA. So I made some money back there, and then I took an after-hour trade for a small loss on here. I think it was a flag break right there, and I think I took it for a quick scalp. And I think this was for a win here for $50. And it was basically a kind of lower high for me. Took it and it didn't really go anywhere, so I took it off when it was dipping here, but it eventually held a higher low here and went higher. And then I took another one, I think towards the end of market close, kind of expecting another squeeze off the close for shorts to cover, but I ended up taking a position there, and I took a stop there for a $50 loss or so. So down total of $30 there on my thinkorswim. But I did take a few trades here on my trade zero. I think totaling for I think pretty much break even here if you just look at my trade zero. A couple trades here, but some ones that are highlighted. So I had a 144. I think it was breaking like a total of $500 loss on the short side, and then a $500 win total there. And the main spot here was I kind of was not trading on my style, so that's the reason I took a few losses there. So I was kind of in and out. I got chopped around here on the PRPO, and I took a few, like $100 loss, $80 loss, and totaling to like $400. But what I should have waited was this 5-minute chart, which would have been stress-free. You can see that little inverted cup and handle. It broke with this trend line in 285 area, and then tested the 15-minute chart. So I did take that trade, and that was the $473 win there that you see on my trade zero. But I took a few losses here that pretty much it was a flat trade overall on PRPO. So it was a little difficult, and pretty much a lot of wicks up and down here, and pretty much I was just going in and out, burning some mental capital. So if I've had waited on what I normally do, just wait on that cup and handle break, would have been a little bit more stress-free and would have been a nice profit there. So that's PRPO. Next trade on thinkorswim's RHE. RHE was a $50 loss, and here I had the right idea, just not the right timing again. I had I think this 1450 area, you can see it's a pretty nice resistance level. It broke above it right there. That's where I took it along, and it's a pretty big volume candle as well. When it immediately fell, I immediately took it off because I saw this little wick. So this is a long trap. Pretty much what when you see a wick on the bottom, it's a short trap. On a breakdown, this is a breakout and it's a wick, so this is a short or long trap. So I went long there at 14 You can see 300 shares at 14.49, and then I just took it off at 14.31 for a 20-cent loss. But you can see like after that wash, it went all the way to 13.75. So it wash pretty much like 80 cents there. So you had to kind of be also aware of this and make sure to just stop out immediately when you see those things, because it can very well just like smack down and be a like engulfing candle. So that was a $51 loss there from that 20-cent loss, and that's all I had on that trade. But yeah, I was expecting a kind of breakout, what it did maybe 10 minutes later. So next trade is SSY. So SSY, this one was also it was looking really nice in terms of the chart pattern that's it was setting up, but for some reason it didn't really work out too well. And I think the reason being it was mostly under VWAP that it was setting up. I had this set up like this type of pattern, had it set up a little higher above VWAP, I think it would have been a different story. But because it's under VWAP, it's a little bit bearish, and I think people were kind of on selling mode when there are pops. But I did see a flag break here above this prior high. So around this 316 area, you can see it's a pretty good area of resistance. It broke there by a penny. I took a few long trades on this flag break and added a few, and then I took it off when it wasn't moving. So that was I think it was maybe a $60 loss or so. And then I ended up taking a few long trades here. You can see I added started long again once it was held this dip and creating higher lows. I went ahead and add a few here and looking for a kind of long trade there. But because it didn't go too far, I pretty much just took it off there. I think this was maybe for a small win or break even there. And that was that. Next trade is CTXR. So CTXR, also a nice looking pattern. Only downside is it's also under VWAP. I had a few chances where I could have taken for a pretty much up a total 200. So I took a loss here. You can see this little flag forming, and nice little break. I think I took a break when it was trying to break over VWAP. I think it was a 238 level, which was a key level on this 238 area. I took it on that 238. I think it got filled at 239, and then I took it off there, and I think that was for a $100 loss. And then I had a nice entry here. I went in again around 10,000 shares, around 239 or so. It went up to a 242 or 243 there. So I could have taken this for a nice little win. I think it was unrealized, like $300 covering this as well. But because I was a little bit confident that it might squeeze higher, I was trying to hold a little bit longer, and I think I might have gotten a little too greedy. Normally I'm pretty good at taking profits when it goes up like this, but I'm trying to look at the bigger picture, bigger context, and maybe a bigger move. And I ended up not taking those 241s or 242s. Could have been a nice little win there. So I ended up taking a 238, which was another $100 loss there. So I lost 100 here and 100 here when I could have taken a 300-400 unrealized there. So a little bit of kind of maybe my style is changing a little bit. I should have taken some profits. What should I typically do? And then hold maybe 50% of my position for a bigger picture move. So that's CTXR for a $200 loss. Other trades, so on trade 0, tops. So tops, I think I had a loss here of $53 on tops, and this was for let's see if I remember where I traded. I think I traded over. Okay, yeah, it was right here. So you can see higher lows are forming, or I mean lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and I was breaking this 211 area. So I went ahead and short this, thinking we can get a test on VWAP and the 205 area. It ended up trailing down to like 207s or so. And again, I didn't. I had like maybe a 210 average, so I didn't take a lot of shares off. I did take some off, but it ended up covering around like 212, 213 area for a small loss there, $53 on tops. So it wasn't didn't get a full retracement, but later part of the day it kind of squeezed out, and might have gotten another opportunity around this area when it broke the 211 again. So that's top. And my other big loss was on ISNS. So ISNS, I think so ISNS, let me pull up my, might be a little easier if I open the chart. So ISNS also was a little tricky and stubborn. I think it was way extended for a very long time, but now that I look at it on the 60-minute, it looks right on this chart. But I took a short right above, right over here. So I took a short, I think it was extended on the 5-minute chart, and it was creating this inverted cup and handle. It's a little hard to see. I don't really like the charting on this platform, but it was a little inverted cup and handle on the 5-minute chart. I took a short, and then it went high and broke out of this, so I had to cover there for a like 150 or $200 loss or so, and then you can see another cup and handle forming right here, but it didn't really break the cup line, and I also had to take another loss there for like maybe $250 or so. So I took yeah, almost like a $450 loss here going in and out on ISNS. My other loss was OCGN. So this was actually a kind of break-even trade. I had 3 losses before I made a $300 win, but yeah, I really need to kind of be a little bit more patient and time my entries a little better, because what I'm seeing is I am getting some paper cuts, a couple paper cuts, and then I will get a big win. I mean, that's a good thing, but if I kind of just be a little bit more patient and avoid those paper cuts, the day would have been a lot smoother and less stressful. But here I saw, let's see, was this a trade? Yeah, this might have been, okay, so I shorted, yes. Trying to zoom in. Okay. Okay, so I took a loss. I took 3 losses here, for roughly $300-400. And then actually my win was actually in after hours. So here's my wins. So I went over here because there was like it was very extended on the hourly. So the hourly chart was way extended. So a lot of these charts, they were extended, and I think most of them were correcting after hours. So it gets a little tricky because I have a bias of if it's extended on the hourly time frame, then I would try to short it back down to the hour. but it happened pretty much after hours. So I had a nice little break here. You can see lower highs for me, lower highs, and it had a nice like 15-20 break area. I didn't take that initial entry, but I did take the 15-20 kind of rebounds, like the bounce retest. So I went ahead and short there, added a few, and then I started covering on the 1480s or so. It did went all the way back down to like 1440s, but this was a nice little win, $300 there. I did ended the trading day before after hours like down 770, so I made back almost like $400 after hours, but I did give away a little bit more and ending the day with 530. So yeah, today down a total of 530. Could have traded a little bit better and could have been a little bit more patient on my trading, and just wait for those kind of setup to form. And what I find that when I do make big losses, I am taking losses multiple times on the same ticker before I do make a win. So I think I have to kind of just reset and refocus when I do take like 2 losses in a row on the same stock. And the other thing is to not fight the ticker. Like if you enter the trade and then you're wrong, and then you're trying to enter based off your level 2 or because you think it's gonna go back down, it might be the wrong decision, because I find that when I do that, I'm not trading based off my patterns, and I'm trading just based off emotions at that point, and that can add up to bigger losses. So I just need to reset, refocus, and think about the patterns, and yeah, just to improve on minimizing my losses. And yeah, so that's all I have for today. On my daily recap, definitely a red day, but also a day where I need to reflect and learn. So yeah, thanks again everyone for sticking around and tuning in. And if you haven't done so and enjoy these recaps and insight, be sure to hit the subscribe and like button to support the channel. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, bye guys.